Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my very favorite video of the month to film. The TBR jar is back again to help me pick out my reads for the month of June. And I feel like this month is the most excited I've been all year long to plan out a monthly TBR, mostly because I love summer reading so much and I'm so excited to incorporate summary books into my monthly TBR. But also just the past couple months I haven't been reading very much. In April I started to get into a little bit of a slump, so I didn't pick up very many books. And then in May, I got out of my slump, but my schedule was just so crazy, jam-packed, busy, and stressful that I didn't really have the time to read as much as I wanted to. But thankfully, the month of June is not very busy for me. I don't have a whole lot going on. I don't have too many plans. So I'm planning to fill pretty much all my free time with reading, and I am just so very excited about it. I feel like I'm in such a better mood when the weather is warmer and I can just go to the pool and read my book. It's just the best. So I don't know if y'all can tell, I did a little bit of rearranging on my TBR cart. I bumped almost all the summary books up to the top shelf, as well as books that I am trying to prioritize, like books that I didn't get to in a previous TBR, or if I'm in the middle of a series, books that come next in that series, stuff like that. So I feel like I'm mostly going to be pulling from that top shelf today. The plan for today is to pull 8 prompts. I feel like that is a realistic and attainable number for me. It also gives me a little bit of room to tack on any extra books if I want to do like a themed reading vlog. I also have some books in my Kindle library I'm wanting to get to, and there are a couple of new releases coming out in June that I'm excited about. But my priority is definitely going to be the books that I put on my TBR today. My goal for the month of June is to read every single book that I put on my TBR. So I feel like 8 books is again attainable and realistic so that I can hit my goal. Let's just jump right into pulling the prompts. This jar used to be a tomato sauce jar, and every time I pull off the lid I get a whiff of tomato and it's so gross. I promise I washed this out so thoroughly, but the smell just won't go away. Okay, prompt number 1. Goodreads rating of 4.3 or higher. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the books that are kind of popular that I know are fan favorites. I feel like Redeeming 6 would have a really high rating because Saving 6 had a really high rating. I read it for my video where I read the highest and lowest rated book according to Goodreads, and Saving 6 was rated like crazy high. So I feel like it's just such a beloved series that if you're continuing on all the way to book 4, then you're a big fan of this series. 4.64, that is so high. Okay, I think it's going to be hard to top that, but I'm going to see if any other books on here are 4.3 or higher. I feel like Better Than the Movies is a fan favorite, and this was on my TBR last month, but I didn't get around to reading it, and I really wanted to. 4.29, so close, but not quite. I feel like None of This Is True wouldn't quite be at a 4.3. Butcher and Blackbird I feel like has kind of mixed reviews. I'm gonna flip this around and see what else. I'm sure Happy Place is above a 4.3, but I'm actually saving this for a trip I'm going on in August. If you know me and Emily Henry, I read all her books on trips, so I'm saving that one. I'm sure that Magnolia Park's Into the Dark is above a 4.3, but I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to dive back into Magnolia and BJ's story. I'm just not ready for it to be over. I feel like I am gonna go with Redeeming 6 as my first choice. This one is a lot heavier and more emotional than I kind of want my reads to be for this TBR. For summer, I'm thinking I want more like rom-com-y, light, fluffy, cupcake type books. This definitely does not fit that bill, but I do really want to continue on with this series. This is book 4 in the Boys of Tommen series, and it is the second book following Joey and Eva. This is the conclusion to their story. I'm just so ready for a happy ending for these characters because they so deserve it, and I'm very anxious to get to the 5th book in this series that just came out last month. I've heard some mixed reviews, so I need to know where I stand on it. I'm really anxious to continue on, but again, one I'm gonna have to emotionally prepare for. Okay, prompt number 2. Free pick. We love this. I feel like I want to save it until the end though, because sometimes there are books that I wanted to pick that didn't work for any of the prompts, so I'm gonna say I can save this till the end because I feel like there's gonna be one book that didn't work for a prompt that I really wanted to read, so we'll save that one. Prompt number 3. A book with a person on the cover. I'm gonna flip this back around. The other rule book has cartoon people on the cover. 7 Days in June definitely has people on the cover. Was really wanting to read this in June. The Friend Zone and Better Than the Movies and this Ellen Hildebrand book, Hotel Nantucket, have people on the cover. Those are probably the ones I'm most excited for. Even though I wrote this prompt and I initially had cartoon characters in mind, it feels more fitting to go with the book that has real people on the cover, which would be 7 Days in June. So I think I am going to pick this one for my second book and our third prompt. This is about these two writers who had this kind of whirlwind romance back in the day, and it was over the course of this 1 week in June. And then it's a second chance romance. They have this reconnection, and I've heard the best things about it. I've always wanted to read it in the month of June because of the title. I actually had it on my TBR last June and just didn't have time to finish it. So really excited to get to this one. I've always wanted to read it in the month of June. Prompt number 4, but picking out our third book. A book that matches your outfit. Okay, that's so fun. So I'm wearing purple and then my pants are black and white. This cover matches perfectly. But you're in Blackbird, it's like purpley pink and black and white. So this is definitely the closest match, I think, as far as I can see. And I did really want to read this month because I didn't get around to it last month. It was on my May TBR. And the sequel to this, Leather and Lark, comes out in just a few days. This is a romance between two serial killers, but it's supposed to be more lighthearted and like a rom-com. I've heard mixed things. I feel like you either love this one or you hate it, but it sounds so interesting. I'm so very intrigued and I can't wait to give it a try in June. Okay, 5th prompt, but 4th book. A hardback book. Okay, I know exactly what I want to do for this one. This is one of the only hardbacks on the cart. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I almost picked this one last month and I was flipping through it and saw that it actually takes place in the month of June. All the headers have like dates in June. So I was like, nope, I am saving it for the month of June. I love reading books when they actually take place. And I've heard really good things about this one. It's about these two women, both celebrating their birthday sometime in June. They're at the same like restaurant or bar when they run into each other. And they're like, oh, we're birthday twins. One of the women runs this really well-known podcast and the other woman has this crazy story to tell that she thinks is worth featuring on the woman's podcast. And all these secrets start coming out and I'm very intrigued. I've heard very good things about this one. I've only read one Lisa Jewell book and I had mixed opinions on it, so I am curious to pick up more by her and see how I feel about her other books. Okay, prompt number 6, but our 5th book. A book with blue on the cover. Literally all of these have blue on the cover. Okay, The Roughest Drafts is an option, but I don't know. It takes place in Florida, so I've always kind of wanted to save it if I go to Florida because I do have family in Florida. So I'm like, if I ever go back and visit soon, that would be the book I bring with me. The Rule book I really was wanting to read. This is Sarah Adams' latest release that came out in April, and I've heard pretty good things about it. It's the book that follows the cheat sheet, and I loved the cheat sheet. That has been my favorite of all the Sarah Adams books I've read so far, so I'm hoping this book is more of the same. I've also heard this book has spice in it, which intrigues me since Sarah Adams is a closed-door romance author, but we have a lot of other blue books that I could choose from. The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, I definitely was wanting to get to this one. I don't want to spoil my May wrap-up, but I absolutely loved Just for the Summer so much, and now I have to read absolutely everything that Abby Jimenez has written, so that's a good option as well. Better Than the Movies has blue on the cover. This was on my TBR last month too, but I didn't get around to it and I don't know, I still really want to read it, but I don't know if I'm feeling it right now. Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. I know Ellen Hildebrand is like the queen of the beach read. I'm going to the beach in July, so part of me kind of wants to save it for that trip because I know this would make the perfect beach read. I have a couple other blue covers on the opposite side, but I was really wanting to read both of these, so I'd be happy with either choice. I'm hoping that whichever one I don't pick, I get a prompt that could work for it, but I also have my free pick, so I could use my free pick for one of these. The rulebook has such a summery cover, but I don't think it's like a summery book necessarily. I know it's like a sports romance, and I think the football team is based in California. The back says they have a one-night stand in Vegas. Okay. That's not really giving me like summery vibes, but something about the cover. Why would it have a palm tree on it if it wasn't summery? They're literally on the beach with the cityscape background. I am really excited about this one. I also am so excited to try out more from Abby Jimenez with how much I love Just for the Summer. I think I am feeling the rule book just a little bit more just because I know it's going to be such a cupcake, fluffy, cutesy rom-com, which is exactly what I'm wanting to read in the summer. I know I'm going to eat this up, and I feel like the other books I've picked haven't necessarily been the most like rom-com-y, so I definitely need to throw one in there. And again, this one has spice in it, which really intrigues me since Sarah Adams is known as being the closed-door romance author. I'm very curious. I love sports romances and I loved the first book in this little series, so hoping to love this one just as much. Okay, we got 2 more prompts to pick and then I have my free pick. A book that's been on your TBR for over a year. The roughest draft has been, but again, saving that for a Florida trip that may or may not be happening. Better Than the Movies has been. That's an option, even though I'm not completely feeling it. Hotel Nantucket has been, but I'm saving it for July. The Friend Zone is a newer addition. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I read a Frederick Bachman book last month that you're going to hear about in my wrap-up. I really, really liked it, but I don't know, his books are like kind of deep, so I don't know if I want that for my summer reading right now. I do have Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, which I have been avoiding because it got really negative reviews, but I've heard better things about her latest book that came out, I think last month. So a part of me is like, should I just skip to the new one? Should I unhaul this one, or should I give it a try? Because I know a lot of people don't like it because of this certain trope that's in here, and the trope bothers me as well, but the way it was done in Every Summer After, I actually thought it was done well, and I know a lot of people didn't like that book because of how the trope was done, so maybe I just will have an unpopular opinion about it and actually like it. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney has been. Can we talk about how Sally Rooney has a new book coming out in September? Finally. I was saving this one because I hate the idea of not having any more Sally Rooney to read. Now I feel like I can read that one, but I'm not necessarily in the mood for it. Again, I feel like it's going to be more deep and reflective, and I'm not really in that kind of the mood for the summer. Sorry if the angle has changed a bit. My SD card ran out of space, so I had to delete some stuff, but unexpectedly, I think I am going to go with Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is not one that I would have thought would be on my TBR if you'd asked me at the beginning of this video, just because of the negative reviews, but I do really want to give it a try. I feel like I could have an unpopular opinion about it. I really, really loved her debut novel. I think it's about these 2 people who meet up one day and have this kind of whirlwind romance, and then they plan to meet up later, and one of them shows up and the other doesn't, and we're finding out why. I don't know, I could love it. I feel like I do want to give it a try, and I've heard great things about her next release, so I want to read this one and then read her newer book, and I feel like regardless of whether I like it or not, it is going to give off summery vibes. So excited to give this one a try and see how I feel. And final prompt before we pick our free book. A book by an author you love. Okay, well, the book I was gonna save for my free pick has to go to this one, The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I read Just for the Summer last month, absolutely adored it, and I was like, okay, Abby Jimenez is probably one of my new very favorite authors. So this is her first series that she wrote. I think it's called the Friend Zone series, and it's a trilogy so far. I don't know if it's finished or if she's writing more books, but I haven't heard the best things about this book especially. I know people tend to like her newer books more than her earlier releases, but I feel like I do just want to read everything by her with how much I loved the Part of Your World book. So I'm excited to give it a try. I really don't know anything about what this book is about, but there's a dog on the back. I love how Abby Jimenez always has animals in her books. I feel like she's just such a cool person based on what I see on her Instagram, and I love that she is also like a baker and she's on the Food Network. She just seems so cool. So I want to read all of her books and excited to go into this one a little bit blind. And then we have our free pick. I really don't know what I want to do because I was saving the Friend Zone for the free pick, but now we have options. I do need to continue on with the Caraval trilogy, but I'm not really feeling fantasy at the moment. Better Than the Movies we do have as an option. I'm not in the mood for it right now, but I feel like I could be, and it is like a YA rom-com. I feel like it's gonna read really quickly. It was on my TBR last month and I wanted to get to it but didn't, so this could be an option for our free pick. Powerless by Lauren Roberts also was on my TBR last month, and I know the sequel to that comes out, I believe, early July, and that is one I'm wanting to get to soon. But again, I don't feel like I'm in a fantasy mood. I don't feel like I'm in a literary fiction deep reflective mood either. Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid could be an option. I was wanting to read more of her backlist books too. This sounds a lot like One True Loves. I don't know, I feel like I already do have more like emotional deep romances, and I could use some more rom-coms on the TBR. So I think I will go with Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Again, it was on my TBR last month. I haven't had the best luck with Lynn Painter. One of her books that I read I gave 1 star to, and the other one I gave 3.5 stars to, but I know this is everyone's like favorite, and YA romance I feel like is great for the summer. It just reads so quickly and it's so just easy to binge. Hopefully I enjoy it as much as everyone else. I do love a good rom-com, rom-com. I've actually been watching 2000s rom-coms recently, just on repeat, binging them. I feel like this one will hit for the summer. So to conclude, the books on my June TBR are Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune, The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, and Redeeming Six by Chloe Walsh. I'm so very excited about this TBR. I would not change a single book if I had the option to like swap one out. I'm so very happy with all of these picks and I'm feeling so motivated to read. I'm in such a reading mood, so I can't wait to get through all of these books. I have a few vlogs planned to hold me accountable to get through the books on my TBR, so make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on any future videos. If you're still liking the TBR jar picking my reads, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know if you've read any of these books that are on my June TBR, what's on your TBR for the month. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you all so soon in the next one. Bye guys.